Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Mini Books Podcast with your host, Gloria and Rogan. And today we are excited to dive into Special Book with You. We picked this one because it has really important lessons to share, and we can't wait to talk about them. So let's get started.
Okay, be honest. How many times have you started your day feeling like you're already behind?
Yeah.
Like that snooze button was just delaying the inevitable mountain of to-dos and stresses waiting for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And it seems like everywhere you turn, there's another self-help guru promising the secret to a perfect, productive morning routine.
It's true. It is interesting, though, isn't it? This fascination we have with transformations, these quick fixes to unlock our full potential.
Later.
What if the key to unlocking a truly exceptional day and even life isn't about adding more to our plates, but actually about mastering the first few minutes?
That's where The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod comes in. And I know what you might be thinking. Another self-help book.
Right.
But this one's a little different.
It is.
And it all starts with Elrod's story.
Yeah, his story is pretty hard to ignore. Imagine being told you might never walk again after a horrific car accident. That was Elrod's reality. But instead of accepting defeat, he used that experience to fuel a journey back to not just physical recovery, but incredible success as an entrepreneur and motivational speaker. And the miracle morning, as he describes it, came directly from his own struggles and triumphs.
Okay, so this isn't just some theory cooked up in an ivory tower. This guy lived it. And that actually makes his central argument even more intriguing. He says that by intentionally designing a powerful morning routine, even if it's just a few minutes, you can create a ripple effect that transforms your entire day.
It's powerful stuff. He even breaks down this seemingly daunting task into bite-sized pieces with this acronym, Life S.A.V.E.R.S., each letter representing a key element of a transformative morning routine.
Right, let's unpack these. Life S.A.V.E.R.S. First up is S, which stands for silence.
Yeah.
Now, I have to admit, the idea of starting my day with quiet reflection sounds a little ambitious.
Okay.
I'm usually hitting the ground running, or more accurately, stumbling for the coffee pot.
Yeah.
What's the magic in silence, and how can it possibly compete with a double shot of espresso?
Well, Elrod argues that silence isn't about becoming a meditation guru overnight. It's about carving out a tiny pocket of calm in a world that's constantly demanding our attention. He even describes himself as someone who likely has ADHD, someone who really struggled with traditional meditation at first. He emphasizes that even just a minute of focused breathing or simply sitting quietly with your thoughts can work wonders.
So you're telling me that ditching the doom scrolling first thing in the morning and actually just existing in the quiet can make a difference? I'm skeptical, but also intrigued.
The impact might surprise you. It's about creating a buffer between the unconscious anxieties that often hijack our mornings and the intentional choices we want to make throughout the day.
It's like hitting the reset button before your brain gets overloaded with the day's to-do list. Okay, I'm starting to see the appeal. So we've conquered the silence, or at least acknowledged it's a thing. What's next in these Leckentries?
Life, S.A.V.E.R.S.
The A is for affirmations. And this one often gets met with some eye rolls, but there's actually some pretty fascinating science behind it.
Affirmations, huh? I'll be honest, I've always been a bit meh on this one. It feels a bit like, I don't know, telling yourself nice things in the mirror and hoping for the best. I get it, but Elrod's take on it is less about wishful thinking and more about intentionally rewiring your brain. He actually connects it back to his own experience with memory loss after the accident. He was told he might never fully recover, but he used affirmations to, in essence, reprogram his brain. He'd repeat phrases like, I have a powerful memory, and amazingly, it worked.
Wait, seriously? So he went from potential cognitive impairment to running marathons and building successful businesses, all while chanting positive phrases to himself. That's wild. Okay, I'm listening. So how do affirmations actually work?
It's all about neuroplasticity, the brain's incredible ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections. When you repeat affirmations consistently, you're essentially carving new pathways in your brain, replacing limiting beliefs with more empowering ones.
So instead of, I'm going to be so stressed today, it's, I can handle anything this day throws at me.
There you go.
Got it. But I have to ask, doesn't it feel a little fake at first? Like you're trying to convince yourself of something you don't actually believe?
Right. Yeah, I think there's definitely a sweet spot between aspirational and delusional. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Elrod emphasizes that the key is to choose affirmations that resonate with you, even if you don't fully believe them yet. It's about planting the seed and then consistently watering it with repetition.
So it's less about immediate belief and more about repetition leading to I mean, not belief, but something that starts to shift how you see yourself.
Exactly. It's like laying the foundation for a new mindset. And speaking of building mental frameworks, that leads us perfectly into the V in life, S-A-V-E-R-S, visualization.
Okay, visualization.
Yeah.
Now, this one I get. I mean, who hasn't daydreamed their way to a personal victory lap after acing a presentation or finally cleaning out their inbox? But is daydreaming really the same as the kind of visualization Elrod's talking about?
It's similar. It's more about taking those daydreams and turning them into a deliberate practice. He encourages you to not just imagine your goals, but to actually feel them as if they're happening right now. To visualize with such detail that your brain starts to believe it's a possibility.
And this isn't just some mystical woo-woo thing, right? There are actual examples of this in action. Didn't Jim Carrey famously write himself a $10 million check years before he ever actually made that kind of money?
He did, exactly. And he's not alone. Elite athletes use visualization to mentally rehearse their performances, seeing themselves winning the race or scoring the winning goal. And the crazy thing is, it actually impacts their physical performance.
Because their brains are essentially being trained to act out what they've repeatedly visualized.
Right.
That's actually kind of mind-blowing. Okay, I'm sold on the power of visualization. What's next?
Next up is E for exercise.
Oh boy, here comes the part where I crawl back under the covers. Look, I know exercise is good for you, but before I've even had my coffee, is that really necessary?
I know Elrod gets it. He knows not everyone can squeeze in an hour-long workout before their day even starts. So he emphasizes that even just a few minutes of movement can make a difference. Sorry to interrupt you guys. If you're enjoying this podcast, then don't forget to check out our official YouTube channel, Mini Books Podcast, and subscribe for more great podcasts like this one. He even outlines a 6-minute miracle morning for those super busy days.
6 minutes. Seriously.
Yeah.
What can you possibly accomplish in 6 minutes that will actually impact your entire day?
It's more about like a jump start for your body and mind.
Okay.
He suggests 1 minute of each of the life S-A-V-E-R-S so far, plus a quick burst of exercise. It could be a brisk walk, some jumping jacks, even just stretching. It's about getting your blood flowing and waking up your body.
Okay, I'll admit even I can handle 6 minutes. But what about those last two, life S-A-V-E-R-S? We've still got R and S to go.
You're right. Let's dive into those. The R stands for reading.
A reading, I can get behind that.
Oh,
Especially if it means less time scrolling through social media. But what kind of reading are we talking about here?
Elrod is a big advocate for personal development books. He believes that by consistently feeding your mind with new ideas and perspectives, you accelerate your growth and open yourself up to new possibilities.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But let's be real, finding the time to read even a few pages can feel impossible sometimes.
Right. And that's where Elrod's emphasis on consistency over quantity comes in. He suggests aiming for just 10 pages a day. That's it. He points out that even that small commitment adds up to about 18 books a year.
Wow, that's actually way more achievable than I thought. Okay, I'm adding read more to my to-do list. Or maybe my to-be list, as Elrod might say. What about that final
The
S?
final S stands for scribing, which is essentially a fancy word for journaling.
Journaling, huh?
Uh,
I have a love-hate relationship with journaling. I always start with the best intentions, but then life gets in the way and it ends up buried under a pile of laundry. Why does Elrod think it's so important?
he actually talks about having a similar experience, buying fancy journals thinking they'd magically make him a consistent writer. But he discovered that the real value of journaling isn't about perfect grammar or profound insights. It's about capturing your thoughts and feelings, tracking your progress, and uncovering those aha moments that often get lost in the daily shuffle.
So it's less about writing the next great American novel and more about creating a space for reflection and self-discovery.
Yes, exactly. And, Elrod shares a story about his own experience with gratitude journaling that really stuck with me. He calls it his Back to the Future experience. He started by writing down things he was grateful for from his past, and then found himself feeling overwhelmed with gratitude for how far he'd come since then.
It's like using gratitude for a double dose of positivity. I like it. Okay, so we've covered all 6, life S-A-V-E-R-S. But I have to be honest, fitting all of that into my morning, even if it's just 6 minutes worth, feels a bit daunting.
Right. And this is where the rubber meets the road, where we go from understanding these concepts to actually putting them into practice. And that's where the 30-day transformation challenge comes in.
The 30-day challenge. Okay, tell me more about this. What is it and how does it work? So this 30-day transformation challenge, it's about taking all these life S-A-V-E-R-S and actually, weaving them into the fabric of our lives.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, the word challenge already has me reaching for another cup of coffee.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't sugarcoat it. He talks about the journey from unbearable to unstoppable, acknowledging that real change requires effort and a willingness to push past your comfort zone.
And he actually uses his own experience training for a marathon to illustrate this, right? He wasn't exactly a natural-born runner.
No, not at all. In fact, he humorously recounts injuring himself on day one of training because he wasn't, I quote, running in basketball shoes.
Okay, that's a visual I can relate to. Starting something new with the best of intentions, but maybe not the right equipment, or mindset for that matter. So how does Elrod suggest we navigate that unbearable phase and come out the other side, hopefully not on crutches?
Well, he emphasizes that the 30-day challenge isn't about becoming superhuman overnight. It's about small, consistent steps forward. He encourages people to start with whatever feels achievable, even if it's just 1 minute of each. Life S-A-V-E-R.
So kind of like easing into a pool instead of doing a cannonball into the deep end?
Precisely. And he also highlights the importance of accountability. He even suggests a rather bold exercise, sending an email to 23 people, asking for brutally honest feedback on how you can improve.
Ouch, 23 people. That's brave. I can barely handle feedback from my cat when I try out a new recipe.
Right, but he argues it's about embracing discomfort as a catalyst for growth, surrounding yourself with people who will challenge you to become the best version of yourself.
That's a powerful concept. Okay, so we've covered the core principles of the Miracle Morning and even dipped our toes into the 30-day challenge. But before we wrap up, I have a thought. I'm curious to get your take on Elrod focuses on transforming the individual, right? But what if these principles were applied on a larger scale? Imagine a workplace where everyone starts their day with a few minutes of silence, or a family that gathers for a shared affirmation practice. Could the Miracle Morning spark a ripple effect that extends beyond individual lives?
Wow, that's a really interesting question. Um, and I think it taps into the heart of what makes these ideas so compelling. What if
Yeah.
we could create a culture of intentionality, not just in our own lives, but in our communities and workplaces? Imagine the potential for collaboration, innovation, and even just, dare I say, kindness if we all approached our days from a place of greater presence and purpose.
It's like taking those personal transformations and amplifying them, creating a collective shift towards a more mindful, intentional way of being.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe that's how real lasting change happens, not just one person at a time, but in waves of shared commitment to growth and well-being.
I love that thought. So as we wrap up our deep dive into the Miracle Morning, I'm left with a sense of, well, possibility. If our mornings really do set the tone for our day, imagine the impact of intentionally shaping those first few moments.
It's true. The power's in our hands, or perhaps in our alarm clocks. Whether we embrace the full life S.A.V.E.R.S experience or simply incorporate a few minutes of quiet reflection into our routines, the journey towards a more fulfilling day and life begins with a single intentional step.
This has been incredibly insightful. I'm ready to trade my snooze button for some silence and maybe even try a few affirmations. Who knows? What about you? What resonated with you from our exploration of the Miracle Morning? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Head over to our community forum and share your biggest takeaways, or even just tell us about your dream morning routine. Until next time, remember, your miracle morning awaits.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this conversation and want to dive into more book insights and key learnings, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Mini Books Podcast, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. We're back every Sunday at 9 a.m. with new books and more to learn from. Until next time, take care, keep learning, and keep growing. Remember, this is Mini Books Podcast.